Wayne and Cindy Rogers with the 416 podcast. This is the interview series, and Cindy's behind the camera recording for us. And so I'm here with Byran Hatcher, and had an opportunity to spend some time with him this week. And so wanted to take an opportunity to introduce you to Byran. Some of you will already know him, but we're grateful to him and grateful for him sitting down with us and to talk a little bit about the work. And so I'm going to take just, if you will, take a moment and just introduce yourself and tell us about your family and your role here in Cape Fear, North Carolina.
All right. Well, my name is Byran Hatcher. Of course, I'm the preacher here at Cape Fear Church of Christ in Fayetteville, and really enjoying the work here. I'm married for 30 years, Jennifer, and she is actually a librarian. She's the regional director for the Sandhills Regional Library System, and it really enjoys that work she's engaged in. 2 children. Kelly, she's married and lives in Eclectic, Alabama, and so she has 2 children with her husband, Neil. And then my son, Bryn, he's 26. He still lives at home, Wayne. But
that's good.
he's a computer software person, computer coder, and so he really enjoys that kind of work and does really well. Of course, with work like that, you can do that from home.
Yeah.
And so we enjoy having him around.
And you get to put him to work here too.
Oh, definitely. Well, he is our AV guy here.
I figured he was.
So, matter of fact, he just helped us revamp our YouTube channel here that we put our Bible classes, our sermons on, and kind of get push those out in YouTube land and things like that. So that's kind of a neat. Of course, I am the son of Barry and Melanie Hatcher, and mom and dad right now are in Manado, Indonesia with the North Sulawesi Bible School or School of Biblical Studies. And so just talked to them recently. They're doing well. And so just keep that school in your prayers too. Yeah. You know, Dad actually founded that school back in 1989. We lived there. Of course, I was a teenager at the time. But he modeled that school after the Memphis School of Preaching. Right. And so Dad's a 1975 graduate of MSOP. I'm a 2012 graduate of MSOP. And so we're really proud of the school and what it has done for the brotherhood.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up your dad as well too, because I wanted to mention him because of all of us, you know, as alumni of the school, you know, we certainly want to promote the school, and we always do everywhere we go because that's what good alumni do.
That's right, absolutely.
And but we are both grateful, I know, for the school. I know your dad is as well. And so you said you're a 2012 graduate.
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about your experience with the School of Preaching and maybe a highlight, if you will, of the school, your time there.
Yeah, well, you know, and it's interesting too, because you would think, being the son of a Memphis grad, that, you know, I would kind of go into preaching right away, and that wasn't my life's path. I didn't actually go to school until I was 36, and did some band directing and some other things in life, and then decided to go to school. And in a significant way, for me, I think that was important to kind of wait and go to school to get a little bit of preaching experience, get a little bit of life experience, because then school, when, you know, I was under Brother Garland Elkins, Brother Curtis Cates, Brother Liddell was the director at that time. And of course, Brother Clark was there too, whipping us into shape. But it was a great time to be at the school and just have a lot of fond memories. But I'm glad that I went at the time that I did, because I think I got a little bit more, you know, out of school, out of the instruction, out of some of the things I really remember are those week evangelistic trips that we would go on. I remember a couple of trips going to Pulaski, Tennessee, and door knocking and, you know, talking with people about the gospel. And so those were some really, really good times, and, you know, really enjoyed getting to know my fellow classmates, members of the congregation there, where we were doing those door knocking campaigns, but then getting out and getting to know people in general as we're talking with them about the gospel.
Yeah, and I think about that time frame because I went to school just a couple years before that,
Mm-hmm.
and so Brother Liddell also was the director. He had just, I think, maybe a year before started directing at that point, and it was Brother Clark's first year
Oh,
when I went
okay.
through school, and
Right.
so he killed us, pretty much killed us, and then he had to back off just a little bit. So yes, he was whipping us into shape. There's no doubt. I think Tish had to kind of calm him down a little bit,
Yeah.
but
He was a killer in Bible geography.
that was it, and that was the class. He just absolutely floored us, but during that time, that's when we met initially. Probably when you were coming to school, because we were probably helping with foundations or something like that. And I remember you were. Byron has a background in music as well, and so of course he was a song leader there at Forest Hill during that time, and so and I just appreciated his ability to lead singing, and so I love good song leaders. I love to sing with good song leaders.
Right.
That's when I really love to sing.
I hear you.
And so it makes a difference.
Yeah,
and so I've always appreciated that. But your family is a mission family, and so I know that passion for mission work, that passion. I know that you grew up with that, and I know that probably translates as well into your local work. So let's talk about local work for just a moment. The congregation here at Cape Fear, and I know that I think you told me that basically this was your first work.
That's correct.
After the school.
That's right.
And so after you graduated, you've been here 13 years, is that right? So,
I'm in my 13th year.
Okay.
So we just celebrated this past July, being here 12 years, and it has been a really great work. The thing that makes this work so unique is that we're in a military town with Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg, right here. And so we have a lot of active military, also retired military. Specifically, it's an Army base, and so we have a lot of Army folks, a few Air Force actually, but because for some reason they like to jump out of perfectly good airplanes. But okay, whatever.
So they need the Air Force guys too.
Yeah, they do. Right. They do. But we have had some Air Force folks come, kind of come through. But that makes this congregation unique in that it's so transient. We do have a few core members who've been here for 20 or longer years, but of course that group is getting smaller the further we get in time, and so we have a lot of turnover. And so I have kind of taken that, and I think of a main role for us is to train, to be trainers for most of these men and women who are coming through here are relatively young and young Christians anyway. So we try to give them opportunities to lead, to be involved in, whatever capacity. If it's a young man, will he be able to lead singing or lead a prayer or give a small talk or something of that nature, and help them develop as Christians, because we know they're going to be moving on. We want them to strengthen other congregations when they go to whatever further posts that they might be going to. Yeah,
and you may talk a little bit more to this, but I think that's important for a congregation. Every congregation kind of has to find their role. While we talk about members finding their role in the congregation, finding their place of work, and sometimes I think congregations also have to find their place in the kingdom as far as what they're good at and how they best work in each one's community, and also to find a way to better the kingdom in that. And so I'm glad to hear that's the focus that you find that works here and is pushing forward. I know that you are also a part-time Fishers of Men instructor.
That's correct. Yes.
And so and I am as well, and so I'm appreciative of that work. So we have a kinship there as well, and I know that there's always a passion then for that continued training in that as well, and making sure that there's a regular class, going maybe every other year, however it falls, but within
we do
the
every other
congregation.
year here.
And that seemed to kind of work. Once we had several classes, then every other year kind of fell. And that way you're getting a new group of people in there too, and
That's right.
they're growing. And then if they leave here, that's something else. That's another tool they have to be able to go and teach. And so so a good training congregation is kind of what I'm hearing here, and that's and so I'm appreciative of your work here, both you and Jennifer, and the work you're doing here. And I'm grateful for the Cape Fear congregation for its stance of truth. I know that it has a long history of preaching the truth here, and so grateful for that. And we'll, of course, put all the links for the Cape Fear congregation in our show notes and in the description on YouTube. And so I want you to be able to go and to check out that. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about as far as the congregation or your work?
I think that's really kind of about it, is that, we do think of our work as, training Christians who are going to be here for a short period of time and then go on to, other places and other works and hopefully to, help the kingdom wherever they might be. So from that standpoint, we want to strengthen the kingdom.
Absolutely.
Everywhere, because even some of these men and women go overseas too.
Right.
And so they might be in the military, but they're also doing mission work too.
Absolutely.
And so we kind of have that outward focus of, let's not only help our community, but the church, all around the world. And obviously we want to do that. And I'm appreciative of, I am one of the elders here too, by the way.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned.
I'm glad for my fellow elder that he puts up with me. And when I do have to go overseas, and I do go to Indonesia and Singapore and the Philippines, we have plans to do that as well. And so grateful to him to allow me to do those and still be involved in those particular works as well. So we do try to have an emphasis in evangelism. I've always got, I don't know, 3 or 4 Bible studies going on and training others to do Bible studies. So this work keeps me very busy.
I bet it does. All right, keep the work going. So we're appreciative of that. And so this is again the 416 podcast. This is the interview series with Byran Hatcher, and so grateful for you tuning in. And you can also find and thank you for Cindy being behind the camera as well.
So I was going to ask.
All right, good.
If someone's in this area, what's a good local coffee shop or restaurant or something that they could go to?
Oh, let's see. A good coffee shop would be a place called Seven Brew, and we have a couple, 3 locations of Seven Brew here, and it's mainly a drive-through thing, but that's really, really good. Of course, Jennifer likes McAllister's Deli. I like Jason's Deli. Those are some really good places to go. But Fayetteville is a foodie town. And so if you want it, it is here. There are well over 300 restaurants.
Wow.
That's not fast food right here in Fayetteville. So,
okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for jumping in there too, Cindy. I know she wants to know about the coffee, so that's always good. So we try to track down the coffee places as we travel about. You'll find that out about us as we go through this. But again, Byran, thank you for joining in with this, and thank you for watching. And we'll see you down the road.